The stars outside looked like broken glass against the dark fabric of space. Jai Park pressed his forehead against the cold window of the trading station, watching another shuttle drift past. His fingers traced the worn patch on his sleeve, all that remained of his military insignia. 3 weeks ago, he had been a respected Special Forces operator. Now he was just another broke traveler stuck on Crossroads Station, the galaxy's busiest and most unforgiving trading hub. The station was a mess of metal, light, and noise. Alien species from 100 different worlds pushed and shoved their way through crowded corridors. Humans were rare here, and most looked at Ja like he was something strange. His last credits had been spent on a cheap meal 2 days ago. The rest disappeared after his transport ship was destroyed in a freak asteroid collision. No insurance, no backup. Just him, alone in a place where survival meant everything. "You look like you could use some work," a deep voice rumbled behind him. Jay turned. The alien was massive, at least 8 feet tall, with skin that looked like polished granite and eyes that seemed to glow from within. The thick metal band circled his neck, covered in blinking lights and strange symbols. "Not interested," Jay mumbled, turning back to the window. The alien laughed, a sound like rolling thunder. Everyone's interested when they're this close to nothing. Jay knew the alien was right. His military training meant nothing here. Earth was millions of light years away, and he had burned his last bridge back home. The Special Forces didn't look kindly on soldiers who asked too many questions about their secret missions. "My name is Krill," the alien said, moving closer. His massive hand could have crushed Jai's shoulder if he wanted. "I represent the Galactic Gladiatorial Games. You look like you might have some potential." Jay couldn't help but laugh. "Gladiatorial Games? You've got to be kidding me." Krill's smile revealed rows of sharp teeth. "Do I look like I'm joking? Humans are rare in the arena. Most die quickly. But you?" He looked Jai up and down. "You're different." The station's artificial gravity felt heavy. Jay's empty stomach growled. Credits were credits, and he was dangerously close to having none. "What exactly are these games?" he asked, trying to sound casual. Krill pulled up a holographic display. Violent scenes flickered to life. Massive aliens fighting in an arena that looked more like a death trap than a competition space. Creatures with multiple arms, reptilian skin, mechanical parts, all fighting with brutal efficiency. "Winners get credits, lots of credits," Krill explained. "Losers, well, they don't matter." Jay studied the images. His military training had prepared him for impossible situations. He knew how to read terrain, how to fight when the odds were stacked against him. But this was something else entirely. "How much are we talking about?" Jai asked, his voice carefully neutral. Krill's teeth showed again. "Enough to buy your way back to whatever hole you crawled out of, or enough to start a new life anywhere in the galaxy." The offer hung in the air between them. Jai knew he was being played. He knew this alien saw him as nothing more than potential entertainment. But desperation had a way of making impossible choices look reasonable. "I'm listening," Jay said. And just like that, everything changed. The training facility smelled like sweat, blood, and burned metal. Judd stood in the center of a massive circular room, surrounded by equipment that looked more like torture devices than workout machines. Alien fighters from a dozen different species watched him with a mix of curiosity and open mockery. "You're joking, right?" A blue-skinned creature with 4 arms laughed. Its voice sounded like breaking glass. A human. In the arena. Arya, Jay's trainer, was nothing like he expected. She was shorter than him, with silver-gray skin and eyes that seemed to see right through people. Her movements were quick and precise, each gesture calculated. "Quiet," she snapped at the blue-skinned alien. "Watch and learn." The first test was simple, or so it seemed. A series of obstacle courses designed to push fighters to their absolute limits. Targets would appear randomly. Fighters needed to dodge, attack, and survive. Most arenas were unpredictable death traps. Jay watched the other fighters go first. A massive lizard-like creature with razor-sharp claws completed the course in 3 minutes. A mechanical being with 6 legs finished in 2.5. They moved with superhuman speed and precision. When it was Jay's turn, the room fell silent. "You have one chance," Arya said. Her voice was flat. "Mess this up, and you're done." Targets began to pop up. Laser beams crisscrossed the room. Mechanical arms swung from hidden panels. Most fighters used brute strength. They would smash through obstacles or rely on their natural abilities. Jay did something different. He moved like water, not fighting the course, but flowing around it. His military training kicked in. He understood patterns. He saw how the targets moved, how the lasers connected. Instead of fighting the course, he predicted it. 2 minutes and 15 seconds. The room went quiet. "Impossible," the 4-armed blue alien muttered. Arya just watched, her expression unreadable. The next test was hand-to-hand combat. Each fighter would face a training dummy designed to simulate different alien fighting styles. The dummies could adapt, changing their attack patterns in milliseconds. Most fighters approached directly. They would punch, kick, use their natural weapons. Jay watched. He studied. His first move was to do nothing. "Attack," the training supervisor shouted. But Jay waited. He watched the dummy's movements. Not just its attacks, but how it prepared to attack. Where its weight shifted. How its muscles tensed. When he finally moved, it was like watching lightning. He didn't fight the dummy. He anticipated it. Each blow was perfectly placed. Each dodge was calculated. The other fighters stared. "Humans aren't supposed to be this good," one whispered. Arya allowed herself a small smile. Most humans who entered the arena were dead within minutes. But Jay was different. He didn't rely on strength. He used something more dangerous: his mind. During mealtime, the mockery returned. Aliens compared muscle sizes. They showed off natural weapons, claws, extra arms, armored skin. Jay sat alone, eating the bland protein paste that passed for food in the training center. "You think you're special." The 4-armed blue alien sat down next to him. "I've seen 100 fighters like you. You'll be dead in your first match." Jay said nothing. He just kept eating. Some battles are won before they even begin. And Jay was just getting started. The arena was nothing like training. It was a living, breathing monster of light and sound. Massive screens showed Jay's face alongside his opponent. Millions of alien spectators from across the galaxy watched, their betting chips glowing with every shift in the odds. Vorx stood on the other side of the arena. He was a mountain of muscle and scales, standing almost 3 meters tall. 4 arms, each thick as tree trunks. Razor-sharp claws that could slice through metal. His species had dominated the gladiatorial games for decades. Jay wore simple gray combat gear, no fancy armor, no special weapons, just himself and whatever skill he could muster. The arena floor constantly changed. Holographic terrain shifted every few minutes. Rocks would become rivers. Flat ground would turn into steep cliffs. Survival meant more than just fighting. It meant adapting faster than your opponent. A loud horn blasted. The match began. Vorx charged immediately. Most fighters would try to match his strength. Most fighters would die. Jay moved differently. He didn't fight Vorx. He used the arena itself as a weapon. A sudden cliff rose between them. Vorx's weight became his weakness. He couldn't climb as quickly as Jay. Where the reptilian gladiator saw an obstacle, Jay saw an opportunity. The crowd went silent. Betting screens flickered. Odds changed rapidly. Nobody had seen a human fight like this before. Vorx roared. The sound was like thunder. His 4 arms could crush most opponents in seconds. But Jay wasn't most opponents. Water suddenly flooded part of the arena. Vorx was heavy. He sank quickly. Jay moved like a fish, using the water to his advantage. His military training taught him something most gladiators forgot. Combat is about more than just strength. "He's cheating," someone yelled from the crowd. But no rules had been broken. The arena was designed to be unpredictable. Jay was simply better at reading its changes. Vorx tried everything. He threw massive boulders. He used his claws. He was a weapon designed by nature to kill. Jay was something else. A weapon designed by training and human adaptability. The match became a dance. Vorx would attack. Jay would redirect. Every move calculated. Every step planned. Arya watched from the sidelines. She saw something the crowd didn't. This wasn't just fighting. This was problem-solving at the highest level. 15 minutes into the match, it happened. Vorx made a mistake. Just one small error in judgment. The arena floor shifted. A deep ravine opened up. Vorx's weight worked against him again. Jay didn't kill them. He didn't need to. A simple push was enough. The massive gladiator tumbled down, unable to catch himself. The arena went completely silent. Then the crowd exploded. Betting screens went crazy. Humans went from being a joke to something else entirely. A wild card. An unknown factor. Jay didn't celebrate. He didn't even smile. He simply walked out of the arena, ready for whatever came next. The first match was over. But his real battle was just beginning. The betting halls were chaos. Digital screens showed Jay's face everywhere. Where humans were once a joke in the gladiatorial circuits, now they were something else. A question mark. A possibility. How did he do that? A green-skinned alien with 3 eyes asked another. Humans, his companion replied, shaking his head. Nobody saw this coming. Krill, the broker who first brought Ja into the games, sat in a private viewing room. His communication device buzzed constantly. Offers, challenges, questions. Everyone wanted to know about the human who beat Vorx. Arya found Jai in the training area. He was cleaning his gear, calm as always. Most fighters would be celebrating. Most fighters would be enjoying their sudden fame. "You're different," she said. Ja looked up. "Just doing my job." His next matches came quickly. The arena masters wanted to test this unexpected human. Each fight was harder than the last. But Jay studied. He learned. Where other fighters saw opponents, he saw puzzles to solve. A 6-armed insectoid fighter tried to overwhelm him with speed. Jai used the arena's magnetic fields to slow its movements. A crystalline being that could reshape its body found itself trapped by Jay's understanding of its molecular structure. Word spread across the galaxy. Betting circuits went crazy. Humans went from 500 to 1 odds to something much shorter. People who bet on Jay in his first match became instant millionaires. But it wasn't just about winning. Jay watched other fighters. He learned their weaknesses, how they moved, how they thought. His military training had taught him something most gladiators forgot. Every opponent has a pattern. He's not just fighting, Arya told Krill. He's solving a complex problem with each match. Krill watched the betting screens. Money was flowing like water. Humans are always full of surprises, he mumbled. The 5th match was against a biomechanical fighter. Half machine, half living creature. It had never lost a match. Its body could adapt to any fighting style in seconds. The arena changed. One moment a desert. Next, a frozen landscape. Then a dense jungle. Most fighters would struggle to adapt. Jay did something different. He didn't fight the arena. He used it. Where the biomechanical fighter saw obstacles, Jay saw opportunities. He moved like water. Predicted. Planned. 15 minutes later, the match was over. The crowd went silent. Then they exploded. Betting screens crashed from the sudden surge of activity. Humans were no longer a joke. They were a threat. In the private viewing rooms, important people started to worry. A human was changing the entire system. A human was showing that strength was more than muscle. That fighting was more than just power. Jay didn't care about the fame. He didn't care about the money. He was solving a puzzle, one match at a time, and he was just getting started. The underground meeting place was dark and cold. Pipes ran across the ceiling, dripping with green liquid that hissed when it touched the floor. Jay sat at a small table, surrounded by beings who had once been gladiators, now broken, but not beaten. An old fighter with metallic skin leaned forward. His voice was a whisper, but it carried the weight of years of hidden knowledge. "The games are more than just fights," he said. "They're a business, a way to control entire star systems." Jay listened. His military training had taught him to pay attention to details others might miss. These weren't just bitter ex-fighters. They were survivors who had seen the real system behind the arena. A reptilian female with scars covering her body pulled out a holographic map. It showed star systems, trade routes, and complex networks of corporate connections. Each match was more than entertainment. It was a way to move resources, settle disputes, and control entire populations. "The big corporations use the arena like a chessboard," she explained. "Win a match, and you might change the ownership of entire planetary systems." Jay understood now why his fights meant more than just personal survival. Each match was a piece of a much larger game. The resistance group called themselves the Broken Chains. They were fighters from different species, united by one goal: to expose the true nature of the galactic gladiatorial games. "Why me?" Jai asked. The metallic-skinned fighter laughed. "You're an outsider, a human. Nobody expected you to last. Nobody expected you to see the truth." They showed him evidence: financial records, secret communications, proof that the matches were rigged. Some fights were decided long before the first punch was thrown. Entire planetary economies could change with a single match. Krill, the broker who brought Jai into the games, was just a small part of a much bigger machine. He was a player, but not the owner of the game. "The Stellar Corporate Council controls everything," the reptilian female said. "They use the arena to settle disputes without starting full-scale wars." Jai looked at the map. Hundreds of star systems, millions of species, all controlled by a few powerful corporations that used gladiators as their pawns. "What do you want from me?" he asked. The metallic-skinned fighter smiled. It was not a happy smile. "You're changing things. Your fights are different. You're showing everyone that the system can be beaten." Outside the meeting place, the city moved. Alien ships flew between massive towers. Betting screens showed gladiatorial matches. To most, it was just entertainment. But Jay now knew the truth. The arena was a weapon, and he was becoming something more than just a fighter. "I'm listening," Jay said. The resistance members looked at each other. Their plan was dangerous. Their hope was small, but for the first time in years, they had someone who might actually make a difference. The game was about to change. The final tournament looked like a nightmare made real. The arena was bigger than any Jay had seen before. Massive screens showed fighter profiles. Millions of betting chips glowed like stars. The entire galaxy watched. Arya found Jai in the preparation room. Her face was different. No longer just a trainer, now something more like a friend. "These matches are different," she warned. "They're not just fights. They're statements." The tournament had 6 fighters. Each one was a champion from different parts of the galaxy. Each one believed they would win. Each one had a story of how they got here. But Jay was different. His first opponent was a fighter from the Crystal Worlds. Its body could change shape, become hard as diamond, soft as water. Most fighters saw this as impossible to beat. Jay saw it as a puzzle. The arena floor changed. Magnetic fields appeared. Gravity shifted. The crystal fighter moved like liquid, changing its shape with each second. But Jay understood physics. He knew how molecular structures worked. Where others saw magic, he saw science. He used the magnetic fields against the crystal fighter, forced it into shapes it didn't want to take, trapped it, controlled it. 10 minutes. Match over. The crowd went silent. The next match was harder. a mechanical fighter with weapons built into its body. It could shoot, punch, and adapt faster than any living creature. Jay didn't fight its strengths. He found its weaknesses. Every machine has a pattern. Every weapon has a limit. Jay watched, studied, predicted. The mechanical fighter fired. Jay was already moving, not fighting, solving. Another victory. Between matches, Arya spoke quietly. They're watching you closer now. The people who run the games. They're worried. Jay knew what she meant. His fights weren't just fights anymore. They were messages, showing that the system could be beaten. The resistance members watched from hidden places. Their hope grew with each match. The final matches approached. The championship bracket was more than just a competition. It was a way to control entire star systems, planetary rights, trade routes. Everything could change with these fights. Krill watched from his private viewing room. His communication devices buzzed constantly. Important people wanted to know about the human fighter. He's not supposed to be this good, one corporate leader said. Humans are full of surprises, Krill replied. Jay didn't care about the politics. He didn't care about the money. Each match was a problem to solve. Each arena was a puzzle waiting to be understood. The last 2 matches would decide everything. And nobody, not the corporate leaders, not the other fighters, not even the resistance, knew exactly what would happen. The human was changing the game, one fight at a time. The night before the final match was quiet. Too quiet. Jay knew something was wrong the moment he entered his preparation room. Small things were out of place. A data pad slightly moved, his training gear arranged differently. Arya appeared suddenly. Her face was worried. Someone's been here, she said. The betrayal came from inside. Someone close to Jay wanted him to fail. The resistance had warned him about this. The corporate leaders would do anything to protect their system. A message blinked on his communication device. It wasn't from Krill. It wasn't from the arena masters. Nice run. The message read, but some people don't want you to win. His opponent for the final match was a legend. They called him the Biomech, half-living creature, half-machine. Designed specifically to win. No fighter had ever beaten him in a full championship match. The Biomech wasn't just a fighter. He was a weapon. Genetic engineering had created something beyond normal fighting skills. Perfect muscles, perfect reflexes, a brain that could process information faster than any computer. Every move calculated, every strategy predicted. Jay knew he was being set up. The resistance members had shared information. The Biomech wasn't just a fighter. He was a message, a warning to anyone who thought they could change the system. Arya helped Jay prepare, but something was different. Her movements were more careful. Her eyes kept checking the room. Someone wants you to lose, she whispered. Someone had sabotaged his training gear. Tiny changes, microscopic adjustments that would make fighting harder. Most fighters wouldn't notice, but Jay wasn't most fighters. His military training had taught him to see details, to understand systems, to find weak points. The sabotage was clever, but not clever enough. Jay spent hours fixing the small problems, recalibrating his gear, understanding the changes that someone had made. The resistance members watched. They knew this final match was more than just a fight. It was a statement about the entire system. Krill visited briefly. His massive form filled the doorway. Some fights are bigger than the arena, he said. Jay understood. This wasn't just about winning anymore. This was about showing that the system could be broken. The Biomech's profile appeared on the screens. Perfect statistics. Perfect record. No weaknesses found. But Jay knew better. Every system has a weakness. Every weapon has a limit. The night before the final match, Jay didn't sleep. He prepared. He studied. He remembered everything the resistance had told him. The corporate leaders watched from their private rooms. Betting screens were going crazy. Millions of credits would change hands with this match. Nobody knew what would happen. Except Jay. He was ready. The final match would change everything. The arena was alive. Millions of spectators watched from every corner of the galaxy. Screens flickered. Betting chips glowed like small stars. The entire system waited. The biomech entered first. Perfect movements. No wasted energy. Every step calculated. Half machine, half living weapon. Created to be unbeatable. Joe walked in last. Just a human. No special armor. No extra weapons. Nothing but himself. The arena floor changed before the match even started. One moment a desert. Next, a frozen landscape. Then a dense jungle with floating platforms. The environment was a weapon too. Always moving. Always changing. The biomech attacked first. Its movements were faster than light. Muscles moved in ways no normal creature could. Joints bent at impossible angles. Computers inside its brain calculated 1,000,000 attack possibilities every second. Jay didn't fight. He observed. Most fighters would try to match the biomech's speed. Most fighters would die in seconds. Jay used the arena itself. He understood something the biomech didn't. Fighting wasn't about being the strongest. It was about being the smartest. The jungle platforms shifted. Gravity changed. The biomech was perfect. But perfection has limits. Jay moved like water. Not fighting. Flowing. Understanding the system instead of fighting against it. The biomech's computer brain tried to predict. But Jay wasn't following any pattern. He was creating something new with each move. Arya watched from the sidelines. Her face was calm. She saw what others didn't. This wasn't just a fight. This was problem-solving at the highest level. 15 minutes into the match, something changed. The biomech made a mistake. Just one small error in its perfect programming. Jay saw it immediately. Where others would attack, he waited. Understanding was more powerful than strength. The arena floor became a maze. Holographic walls appeared, disappeared, shifted constantly. The biomech was strong, but strength means nothing if you can't adapt. Jay adapted. He used the arena's changing environment, turned the biomech's strengths into weaknesses, used its own perfect programming against it. Corporate leaders watched in shock. Their perfect weapon was failing. The resistance members held their breath. Hope was a small thing, but it was growing. 20 minutes passed. The match was unlike anything anyone had seen. The biomech was supposed to be unbeatable, created by the best scientists, designed to win at all costs. But it forgot one thing. Humans are unpredictable. In the final moment, Jay didn't defeat the biomech. He solved it, like a puzzle, like a problem waiting to be understood. The arena went silent. Then the crowd exploded. Betting screens crashed. Systems failed. Something fundamental had changed. Jay didn't celebrate. He didn't even smile. He had solved a puzzle. Nothing more. But everything was about to change. The world changed after the match. Jay stood on a balcony overlooking the massive trading station. Below him, alien species from 100 different worlds moved like rivers of color and light. Everything looked different now. The galactic gladiatorial games were more than just a competition. They were a system of control. And he had just broken that system. Krill found him first. The massive alien's footsteps were heavy. His voice carried the weight of years of hidden knowledge. "You realize what you've done?" Krill asked. Jay said nothing. He didn't need to. The resistance members had been watching, waiting. The match wasn't just a fight. It was a signal, a message that the system could be changed. Corporate leaders scrambled. Betting circuits crashed. Entire planetary economies shook. One human had shown that the perfect system wasn't so perfect after all. Arya stood nearby. No longer just a trainer, now something more. "They'll try to stop you," she said. Jay understood. Breaking the system is easier than changing it. The corporate leaders would not give up easily. News spread across the galaxy, not just of the match, but of what the match meant. Fighters who had been trapped for years saw hope. Small resistance groups began to talk, to plan. The gladiatorial system was no longer untouchable. The resistance had a name for what happened. They called it the human signal. One person showing that the impossible could be possible. Planetary leaders met in secret. Some wanted to shut down the games completely. Others wanted to change the rules. But nobody could ignore what had happened. Jod wasn't a hero. He was a problem solver. He had seen a system, understood its weaknesses, and found a way to break it. The trading station buzzed with energy. Alien species talked, argued, planned. Something fundamental had changed. Krill approached again. "What will you do now?" Ja looked out over the city. Alien ships moved between massive towers. Betting screens still showed gladiatorial matches. But everything was different. "The game has changed," he said simply. The resistance members watched. They had hope now. Real hope. Corporate leaders tried to plan, to understand, but they couldn't predict what would happen next. Jai had shown something important. Strength isn't about muscles. It's about understanding. About seeing systems differently. Arya stood beside him, ready for what comes next. Jay smiled. Just a small smile. But it meant everything. The human had entered the arena as a joke. He was leaving as something else entirely. A symbol. A problem solver. A message to the entire galaxy. Anything is possible, if you're willing to look at the problem differently.